Democratic Congressman Brad Sherman and New Jersey Republican Congressman Chris Smith, the co-chairman of the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging with us. We appreciate it. There's been a lot of breaking news. Congressman Sherman, what can the body across the street do about this at this moment? There is some paralysis in the House right now because we don't have a speaker. Congressman McCall has been calling for, and I think Gregory Meeks as well, a resolution on Israel that could be passed by unanimous consent without the presence of a speaker. What could Congress do in the hours ahead?
Well, I think a unanimous consent resolution is good. Speaking, as Chris and I are doing now, is good. If we elect a speaker in a few days, we'll be able to proceed by providing the supplemental aid that Israel will need. If not, we might go with a temporary speaker, just somebody to serve for a day or a week and allow us to do critical business.
Congressman Smith, thank you very much for joining us, both of you, on this ongoing situation. What do you want to see happen next year?
Well, I think we really have to call out this genocide. The United Nations yesterday at the Security Council couldn't even issue a statement, which I find appalling. This is the genocide happening right now. This is the logical consequence of unbridled anti-Semitism. I'm the one who wrote the law that created our ambassador at large for combating anti-Semitism. I've been working on it for all 43 years of my time in Congress. This is now where it all leads. Massive slaughter simply because a Jewish person happens to be a Jewish person. So we need to unite, and we are. Brad and I are working together, Republican and Democrat alike, and speak out with one voice against this terror. Because it won't stop there. And Iran, they're the orchestrators. You know, Hamas are like puppets, terrible puppets at that, horror show. But they are puppets. And this is Iran's doing, and we need to call that out as well and take very effective action. There need to be sanctions. The $6 billion needs to be withdrawn immediately. Remember, as Kevin McCarthy pointed out in his very fine statement today, he pointed out 400,000 barrels of oil were flowing out of Iran in the last administration. That's now up to 3 million. They're getting money hand over fist to kill people, and those people happen to mostly be Israelis and some Americans.
Congressman Sherman, the reaction to this on your side of the aisle, I mean, it was almost unanimously met with condemnation, but a couple of your members, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar specifically, said in statements an immediate ceasefire and de-escalation is urgently needed to save lives. Ilhan Omar, we need to call for de-escalation and ceasefire. Here's what the Wall Street Journal said in an editorial in response to that. This is a mirage that will protect Hamas and guarantee more violence. A ceasefire now would reward those who started the war that by this writing had killed 700 in Israel. We now know it's closer to 1,000. These include many foreign nationals and probably some Americans. We know 9 Americans were killed. Is Israel supposed to tolerate this deliberate murder and not retaliate against those who planned and executed it? I asked the former Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, if George Bush had listened to people who said, oh, don't attack al-Qaeda. I mean, Israel has a right to respond, do they not?
Absolutely. Japan was open to a truce the day after Pearl Harbor. You have to respond. You have to dismantle Hamas. They've proven through their actions what they've been saying with their words, which is their position is to ethnically cleanse the entire Middle East of all Jews. That's their bargaining position. They want to not only destroy Israel, but to kill or displace every Israeli. That being said, there are a few elements in the Democratic Party who I think have this wrong. But I think Pence had it right yesterday when he says, in reference to this, that this is what happens when there are major Republican leaders who are pushing for a retreat of America on the world stage. I think Chris and I have been strong voices for American involvement in the world. That's Ukraine, that's Israel, and that's the entire world.
For those who have gotten it wrong, to use your word, Congressman, just to follow up, Congressman Sherman, should they be in Congress?
Well, I had 198 Republicans vote for a continuing resolution that cut aid to Israel by 30%. I think they should all be members of Congress as well because they were elected.
Okay, so Congressman Smith, you referenced Kevin McCarthy's speech earlier, his remarks on Israel earlier today. Here's some of it. Listen.
President Biden's #1 priority right now must be finding out how many Americans have been taken hostage and get them home. We cannot repeat what happened in Afghanistan. It must be clear that we do not negotiate with terrorists, and no American will be left behind.
To get you further to weigh in on that, our number one priority must be finding out how many Americans have been taken hostage, if any. Do you get the sense that we are on this?
It's a very good question, especially when Jake Sullivan said 8 days before the invasion that the Middle East has never been so calmer in the last 2 decades. I mean, was he not aware? Was our government and intel folks not aware that Iran has been planning this along with Hamas and the other conservative? So I think the priority has to be standing in absolute solidarity with our Israeli allies, but also making sure that the Americans, where's the evacuation plan? You know, I've called over to the State Department. I talked to the Ops Center. Several people in my district have asked, they're there, they want to get out. How do they get out? And we got to do more to effectuate that. We don't want another Afghanistan on our hands when we left so many Americans and our allies behind.
We just have seconds left here, Congressman. The White House called a lid at 11:46 this morning. 9 Americans are dead. We haven't heard from President Biden on that. Should we be hearing from him?
The president spoke Saturday. I'm sure he'll speak in the next couple of days. I don't think it's appropriate for every American to flee Israel. I think the territory of Israel is safe.
All right, Congressman Sherman, Congressman Smith, thank you for being with us.
John,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
very much.
Thank you for hanging through the breaking news as well.